Instead of having to clear goods twice, you transport the goods from Mombasa to Naivasha, and then you have to make another arrangement from Naivasha, either by road now to Kampala or to the rest of the country. Now it will be a one-way. And we have done the justification for this road, using the traffic, using the cargo that we have that goes to the hinterland of the East African community. And for your information, sometimes cargo once the rail has been built.
Mheshimiwa Rais, labda serikali ina mpango upi aswa kuna takriban 30% ya barabara ambazo zinahitaji kukarabatiwa humu nchini, si eneo hili tu, katika maeneo mengine, labda serikali ina mpango upi kuhakikisha zinakarabatiwa?
Tayari tuko na contractors wale wote kwa miaka kwenye contractors wengi walitoka barabarani na tuko na awamu ya pili, tumelipa 80%, tunalipa 20% kabla ya Disemba. Tuko na program ingine ambayo itatupatia another 120 million yenye itasukuma ujenzi hizo barabara zote sasa zimeanzishwa. Lakini vile vile kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund % kabla ya Disemba, tuko na program ingine ambayo itatupatia another 120 billion next year yenye itasukuma ujenzi wa hizo barabara zote mpaka zikamilike by 2027. Hizo barabara zote ambazo kwa sasa zimeanzishwa. Lakini vile vile kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund tayari nimeambia wizara wafanya mapping ya kilomita zingine 28,000 ambazo tutaanza next year wakati tume roll into action National Infrastructure Fund. So from next year utaona, Wakenya wataona barabara mpya zikitangazwa kupitia kwa ile program nao tutakuwa nayo na hazina tutakuwa nayo maalum ya National Infrastructure Fund, kwa sababu pale nyuma pesa zetu, na pia tuchanganye hiyo pesa na pesa ya private sector. Watu wa private sector wengi wako tayari kushirikiana na serikali tukiwa na mpango, na ndio sababu tumetengeneza bank ama fund ya National Infrastructure Fund.
Na Mheshimiwa, umezungumzia swala hilo kwa undani zaidi, lakini tunafahamu fika mara nyingi wakandarasi unapata kwamba wameanzisha mradi wanachelewa kukamilisha. Labda ni mikakati ipi imewekwa kuhakikisha yule mwanakandarasi ambaye amepewa hiyo kazi anaitamatisha na anakuwa accountable?
Unajua, ukijenga barabara kutumia budget ya serikali isipolipa yule mwanakandarasi anasimama kwa sababu hana mpango mwingine. Ya private sector. Watu wa private sector wengi wako tayari kushirikiana na serikali tukiwa na mpango, na ndio sababu tumetengeneza bank ama fund ya National Infrastructure Fund.
Na Mheshimiwa Rais, umezungumzia swala hilo kwa undani zaidi, lakini tunafahamu fika mara nyingi wakandarasi unapata kwamba wameanzisha mradi wanachelewa kukamilisha. Labda ni mikakati ipi imewekwa kuhakikisha yule mwanakandarasi ambaye amepewa hiyo kazi anaitamatisha na anakuwa accountable?
Unajua, ukijenga barabara kutumia budget ya serikali isipolipa yule mwanakandarasi anasimama kwa sababu hana mpango mwingine. Tumebadilisha sasa kwamba ujenzi wa barabara utakuwa ni serikali inachangia kiasi, lakini yule pia ambaye anajenga hiyo barabara kupitia kwa private public partnership pia na yeye atachangia sehemu. Jambo la kwanza. Jambo la pili, kupitia kwa program ya National Infrastructure Fund, ile pesa tulio nayo kama ni 20% ya ile barabara tutaifanya, kwa sababu sasa tutakuwa na hazina which is agile. Sasa kupitia kwa ile hazina tuta leverage pesa kutoka private sector, ndio contractor awe na pesa ya kutosha mpaka hiyo barabara ikamilike. So we will have not only the resources to start the road, but under the National Infrastructure Fund, we will have clarity on the start and the finish of every infrastructure that we develop, whether it is a road, whether it is an electricity line, whether it is a dam. We will have sight, because we will use our own resources to leverage resources from the private sector to make sure that we have resources to start and finish every project. In the past, when you use resources only from your budget, when the resources from the budget is limited, then that is how roads stall, that is how dams stall. But now that we are leveraging both public resources and private sector resources and bringing private sector into the equation, the discipline of the private sector, the resources from the private sector will seal the loopholes that have existed and that have made road construction take many years and that have made projects in the past to stall, whether they are dams or roads or whatever other pieces of infrastructure we have been developing.
All right. Your Excellency, infrastructure is a very big bit, like you say, in terms of, particularly when you talk about regional trade, but it is just one bit when it comes to making it effective. The question is, as a region, how are you going to deal with the issues of corruption at border points, inefficiency in customs, and those problems of non-tariff barriers that have been inhibiting trade, particularly in this region?
You have said it correctly, that infrastructure is not the only thing. That is why I said in my plan that we need to develop a high level of professional human capital that will assist us in dealing with inefficiencies, that will work with us using technology. Because if you saw my plan, I have said we're not only going to develop high quality infrastructure, high quality human capital, we're going to leverage on technology, we're going to leverage on AI, we're going to digitize, and we are going to use technology to fight corruption, to eliminate inefficiency, to eliminate dark corners. Because once the whole processes of government, and that's what I have done for the last 3 years, digitize all government services so that we eliminate transactions in cash, we eliminate subjective judgments by individuals. We are now currently going on to e-procurement so that government procurement is in the open. There is no tender in the dark. There is no corruption. There is no favoritism. There is no underhand dealings. That is how we are going to take this country. And that is why in my plan I said human capital is going to be a very big part of my plan. Digitization is going to be a very big part. Leveraging on technology, bringing on board AI is going to be a very big part of technology. But that's not also just what is enough. I have also said that we also are impeded sometimes by matters to do with energy. How much energy do we have? We have said we're going to develop another 10,000 megawatts of energy. We have the instruments to do it. We have been doing it in terms of public-private partnership, leveraging on power purchase agreements. We need to think bigger. And finally, I have also said that we have to be a net exporter of goods, services, and products from Kenya. As we talk today, on one thing alone, on food, we are importing 500 billion. We first need to plug that. And that is why I'm insisting that we need to develop water harvesting, water storage infrastructure, dams, micro dams, mega dams, mini dams, to make sure that we grow enough food and we become a net exporter of many things, because we already have the markets. We have a market in Europe, which was open to us last year, a market of 450 million people, 26 countries. We have a market in the United States. We have a market in China, and we have the biggest market in Africa, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We must leverage on those markets to drive our economy, to drive the transformation of our agriculture, and combine all the things I have told you, from agricultural transformation to increase our exports, from human capital development, to make sure that we leverage on technology, to be efficient, to be effective, to reduce corruption, making sure that we have transport and logistics, our roads infrastructure, highway infrastructure, seaport infrastructure. I have told you that next year we're going to advertise for the construction of a new airport at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, making sure that we have energy to be able to drive new technology. That power is going to power county aggregation and industrial parks, all our markets, all our special economic zones, all our export economic zones, to make sure that our manufacturing, our industrialization moves to the next level. Because if we do not manufacture, if we do not add value, we will not create jobs. About the next generation. That in the next 30 years, when I will be 90, I want this country to be a first world country.
All right. Your Excellency, I want to follow up very quickly because we are almost winding up. You mentioned about the co-owning of the Kenya pipeline with Uganda. Again, also private investors are allowed in. You've had your critics accuse you of auctioning national strategic assets. How do you respond?
You know, those people are small thinkers. You know, the pipeline is not going to leave Kenya. The pipeline is a Kenyan asset, but we can leverage on that asset to do much more than the pipeline. The pipeline is already doing a service for us. You know, the pipeline is, if you compare the dividends that we get from having the pipeline, they are way smaller to the benefits we can get by leveraging on that asset to build new assets. The resources I am talking about that will be used for development of infrastructure will come from assets like the Kenya pipeline. And Uganda is going to pay for it. Private sector is going to pay for it. Ordinary Kenyans are going to own part of it. What, don't you want to own a piece of Kenya pipeline? Every Kenyan wants to own a piece of Kenya pipeline. They will be making money to the extent of the ownership they make. But it will free resources for government of Kenya to develop other assets. We have an asset in Kenya pipeline, but we can use the asset we have in Kenya pipeline to develop another 3-4 assets as big as Kenya pipeline. That is the innovation. That is the broad, bigger thinking that needs to go into this.
Mheshimiwa Rais, umezungumzia hilo swala kwa kina, na hivi sasa tunapozungumza katika uongozi kamilifu.
I have to go.
Ndio tunakamilisha Mheshimiwa Rais. Katika uongozi kamilifu lazima kuna wale wanaunga mkono na kuna wale ambao wanapinga miradi mbalimbali. Labda viongozi ambao wako katika mradi huu na miradi mingine, ungependa kushirikiana nao kivipi, au mpango upi uko nao katika kufanikisha miradi kama hii?
Umesema vizuri.
Ndio.
Kuna wale wanaunga mkono.
Ndio.
Kuna wale wako na maoni tofauti. Na kuna wale wanapinga. Shida niliyoko nayo ni kwamba wale ambao wako sasa hawana maoni tofauti, ni wakupinga. You know, wanapinga SHA, hawana maoni tofauti. Wanasema turudi ile ya NHIF ambayo ilikuwa na watu milioni 7. Tumefikisha watu milioni 27. Wanasema turudi ile ya zamani. Wanapinga funding model. Wanasema turudi ile ilikuwa imefunga universities zetu karibu 20 ilikuwa bankrupt. Wanasema turudi huko. Wanapinga barabara kama hii. So mimi ningependa kusema ni Kenya ni nchi ya demokrasia. Kama ya RUTO, serikali ya broad based iko na sera ya kujenga barabara, ya kujenga reli, ya kubadilisha mfumo wa elimu, ya kuweka new funding model, ya kupunguza gharama ya production, kupunguza gharama ya fertilizer, ya kuwa na universal health coverage. Tafadhali tafuta sera mbadala, uzia wa Kenya. Lakini hawa ambao tuko nao sasa hawana sera mbadala, hawana mpango mbadala, hawana agenda mbadala, wanapinga. Hapo sasa ndio Kenya yarudi nyuma. We need a brand of leadership that looks at a plan, and sometimes you must admit, if a plan is good, even if you are in a different formation, you should have the fortitude and the courage to say this is a good plan. And if it is not a good plan, propose an alternative plan. But don't just oppose. The problem we have is that we have people today, if you listen to them, what are they talking about? One term. Kasongo must go. What is Kasongo? One term must go. What is it about? It's about William Ruto. It's about a person. It's about the next election. You know, that is how we fail as a nation. If the whole of your political psyche is about a person, is about the next election, where are the people of Kenya? Where is the next generation? I would want to persuade colleagues, leaders like myself, in other formations, please, this is our country. Let us make it better. If you think my plan is good, develop a better one and tell the people of Kenya. Let us avoid the politics of ethnicity. Let us avoid the politics of personality cults. Let us avoid the politics of division and negativity. This is our country. We will either rise or sink together. So don't think that if you sink William Ruto or if you sink the next guy, you will be anywhere. Let us be positive about Kenya. Even if you don't like the next guy, think about your country. And therefore, I'm asking leaders, and I am prepared, I am willing to work with leaders from across the divide. I have said, I have discussed the plan I have with members of parliament, governors, citizens from across the political divide. I have discussed this plan with the former prime minister. I have discussed this plan with the former president. I have discussed this plan with whoever is willing to listen to what I have to say. And it is a plan that I am very passionate about because I have the opportunity to be the leader of our nation today, and I do not want to let the people of Kenya down. And for your information, I have set a very high bar for myself. Why? Because I am building on a foundation that has been set by others. President Jomo Kenyatta set the foundation of the liberation of our country. President Moi came and did the best he could. President Kibaki did a foundation on infrastructure. My friend President Uhuru made a huge contribution. But I have a unique opportunity. Why? Unlike my predecessors, I am a younger person. I am a very educated person. I have the relevant experience. I have no choice but to do better. And I am not taking this for granted. I know it is a moment in history that I have, and I want to do the very best for my nation.
Okay. Can you quickly react, probably,
Thank you very much.
Very quickly, to the by-elections yesterday? Did the by-elections outcome bail you out? The
by-elections yesterday were a very big statement. Very big statement coming from the people of Kenya. That the people of Kenya are focused on the team that has an agenda, that has a plan, and that has a vision for Kenya. I have often tried to persuade the people on the other side that rhetoric, sloganeering, one time sijui Kasongo and all those, will not amount to a plan where people of Kenya can buy. The people of Kenya are very intelligent people. They can make a difference between the team with a plan and the team without. And yesterday, they sent a very powerful message. And I hope the people on the other side are listening. They sent a very powerful message that they are not interested in ethnicity, they are not interested in division, they are not interested in rhetoric, they are not interested in sloganeering. They want to see a credible plan, a team that has an agenda for the people of Kenya. And the outcome of that election is a big statement to everybody.
Naam, Mheshimiwa, shukran sana kwa kutupa fursa kuzungumza nawe na vile vile watazamaji pia kufuatilia na kufahamu ajenda yako ya miundo msingi na vile vile maendeleo ya taifa.
Na mimi nawashukuru wa Kenya wote. Haingewezekana tufike hapa bila ya support ya Wakenya. Kuna wale wananiunga mkono, kuna wale wananikosoa kwa sababu wanataka nifanye bora zaidi. Hawa wote mimi nawashukuru kwa sababu hivyo ndivyo tutajenga taifa letu la Kenya. It is not always that people may agree with you 100%. Some, criticize me out of them wanting me to do better. And I appreciate that. They make my thinking, they make my planning better. They point out some of the gaps that are there, and I appreciate that. All I am asking is, even in the whole of this trajectory, even as we support, even as we criticize, let us focus on the good, the interest of the people of Kenya and the future generations that are going to come.
Shukran sana. Mtazamaji, huyu amekuwa Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto akizungumzia miradi ya maendeleo, na vile amezungumzia mradi huu ambao unazinduliwa siku ya leo, ujenzi kwanza wa barabara ya Rironi Gilgil Mau Summit kwa ukamilifu, ili kuhakikisha maendeleo yanawafikia wote ambao wanatumia barabara hii. Mtazamaji, mahojiano haya ya kipekee yamefanikishwa na TV47 na vile KBC. Wanakwetu wananiita Joashon Sare. Mwenzangu,
my name is John Jacob Kiri. Have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you.
Of Kenya Pipeline. Every Kenyan wants to own a piece of Kenya Pipeline. They will be making money to the extent of the ownership they make, but it will free resources for government of Kenya to develop other assets. We have an asset in Kenya Pipeline, but we can use the asset we have in Kenya Pipeline to develop another 3-4 assets as big as Kenya Pipeline. That is the innovation. That is the broad, bigger thinking that needs to go into this.
Mheshimiwa Rais, umezungumzia hilo swala kwa kina, na hivi sasa tunapozungumza katika uongozi kamilifu,
I have to go.
Ndio tunakamilisha Mheshimiwa Rais. Katika uongozi kamilifu lazima kuna wale wanaunga mkono na kuna wale ambao wanapinga miradi mbalimbali. Labda viongozi ambao wako katika mradi huu na miradi mingine, ungependa kushirikiana nao kivipi, au mpango upi uko nao katika kufanikisha miradi kama hii?
Umesema vizuri.
Ndio.
Kuna wale wanaunga mkono.
Ndio.
Kuna wale wako na maoni tofauti. Na kuna wale wanapinga. Shida niliyoko nayo ni kwamba wale ambao wako sasa hawana maoni tofauti, ni wakupinga. You know, wanapinga SHA, hawana maoni tofauti. Wanasema turudi ile ya NHIF ambayo ilikuwa na watu milioni 7. Tumefikisha watu milioni 27. Wanasema turudi ile ya zamani. Wanapinga funding model. Wanasema turudi ile ilikuwa imefunga universities zetu karibu 20 ilikuwa bankrupt. Wanasema turudi huko. Wanapinga barabara kama hii. So mimi ningependa kusema ni Kenya ni nchi ya demokrasia. Kama William Ruto, serikali ya broad based, iko na sera ya kujenga barabara, ya kujenga reli, ya kubadilisha mfumo wa elimu, ya kuweka new funding model, ya kupunguza gharama ya production, kupunguza gharama ya fertilizer, ya kuwa na universal health coverage. Tafadhali tafuta sera mbadala, uzia wa Kenya. Lakini hawa ambao tuko nao sasa hawana sera mbadala, hawana mpango mbadala, hawana agenda mbadala, wanapinga. Hapo sasa ndio Kenya yarudi nyuma. We need a brand of leadership that looks at a plan, and sometimes you must admit, if a plan is good, even if you are in a different formation, you should have the fortitude and the courage to say this is a good plan. And if it is not a good plan, propose an alternative plan. But don't just oppose. The problem we have is that we have people today, if you listen to them, what are they talking about? One term. Kasongo must go. What is Kasongo? One term must go. What is it about? It's about William Ruto. It's about a person. It's about the next election. You know, that is how we fail as a nation. If the whole of your political psyche is about a person, is about the next election, where are the people of Kenya? Where is the next generation? I would want to persuade colleagues, leaders like myself, in other formations, please, this is our country. Let us make it better. If you think my plan is good, develop a better one and tell the people of Kenya. Let us avoid the politics of ethnicity. Let us avoid the politics of personality cults. Let us avoid the politics of division and negativity. This is our country. We will either rise or sink together. So don't think that if you think William Ruto or if you think of private-public partnerships on the basis of tolling roads, because a road is not a cheap thing. A road is a very important artery and it stimulates the economy, and Kenya is the catalyst. Once we do it in Kenya, we justify then the rest of the journey into Uganda and into the rest of the East African region.
I want to follow up with that question, Your Excellency. The SGR from Nairobi to Naivasha sometimes has been criticized because of the low take-up of cargo and sometimes underutilization. What lessons has government learned to ensure that as we extend the SGR all the way to Malaba, it doesn't become another story of low take-up of cargo and underutilization?
Precisely because the rail ended up in Naivasha, while most of the cargo go all the way to